In this video, I'm gonna show you my take on Sam Hurd's Ring of Fire technique, and we're gonna go from this plain room to this final image.
My name is Pi, and I'm one of the founders of Lynn and Jersa Photography and SLRLounge.com. We're teaming up with Adorama to bring you a new series of photography tutorials called Master Your Craft right here on Adorama TV. So let's dive in.
What's up, friends? My name is Pi. Welcome to Adorama TV. I've done this intro 50 times now, so let's let this be the last. So if you've been paying attention to Master Your Craft, we did a shutter drag tutorial where we did a shutter drag portrait, and now we're doing this kind of our take on the Ring of Fire. What you're seeing is a glimpse into our new special effects course. It's kind of an A to Z library of all of our signature portraits from start shooting all the way through to post. Let's dive straight into this. I have to also credit the man, the myth, the legend, the person who made this technique, which is Sam Hurd. At least I believe this technique originated with Sam Hurd. If not, he popularized it. What will you need for this recipe? Number one, you're gonna need a bronze tube. You can actually use different colors. So I've seen people use silver, clear. I kind of prefer bronze just because I like the warmer look. But you can get one of these from your hardware store. And just for an idea, my favorite size is this one. It's about 2 inches long and 1 inch in diameter, or maybe 1.5 inches. And I also use one that's like half size, so just like 1 inch long and the same size. But that's my favorite size to go with. 2, you're gonna need 2 flashes ideally. You can get away with just 1 flash, but I usually like to use 2 flashes for this setup. It makes it a lot easier. Number 3, I would recommend using a wide angle prime lens. Now, it doesn't have to be prime per se, it just has to kind of behave like a prime lens. So a 24mm prime is great, a 35mm prime is great. You can even do this with a 50. I wouldn't recommend going beyond 50, and in fact, my favorite is kind of around the 24 to 35 range because I do like seeing a little bit more of the space around the couple, which you'll see in just a second. Now I'm actually gonna be using a zoom. I'm gonna use the 20 to 70 because at f2, it behaves like a prime and it'll totally work as well. Okay, you have what you need. Let's dive into the steps, starting with number 1. We're actually gonna place our subjects into the shot. So Arabella and Will, go ahead and step right on up. I'm gonna have them stand right here, kind of in this spot of light. And the reason that we're doing this in the studio, I like taking this shot anywhere, like any location, it's fantastic, but I wanna do it in a space that's very plain, very simple, so you can see just exactly what the technique itself can do. And then of course you can take this and do it anywhere. Okay, why don't we start with just a baseline image? Why don't you guys open up to me? And let's take a before shot just of this space. And I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be our before shot, which isn't terrible because good light, good couple, it's not bad. Once your subjects are in position, I like to give them a quick pose. And the pose that I'm usually gonna use for this type of shot is gonna be a close pose. I like going with this kind of a pose where they can be holding hands. So if you guys hold hands and just kind of look toward each other, that's fantastic. If you guys want to make it, if you want to make it a little more close, more intimate, then they're going to connect up, right? So he's just going to hug into her and pull her in. And then you might have them looking at each other, or say, for example, close the eyes, touch foreheads. This is kind of great for that look, right? So why don't you guys do that? Close the eyes, touch the foreheads. What your first step, well, after the pose. So your second step is going to be your exposure. What I want you to do here before we even touch the flashes, we're still going to follow the camp framework, right? We know compositionally that we're going to go for something about right here with them in the center of the shot. Ambient light wise, we're going to dial it down, okay? So from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring the exposure down to kind of where I want to see the shadow detail. So what I'm thinking here is, what do I want my shadows to look like in the image? And right about, I would say 200 ISO, I get to a good spot where I can see just a little bit of this daylight coming through, and it's gonna vary based on what location you're shooting at, right? But this is where you're setting the intention. I want it to be dark, I want it to be moody, and you're gonna choose how much light you want in your shadows now. Okay, with that, ambient light is set. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to the M piece, modify or add. So here I have 2 ProPhoto A1s. You guys can use whatever flashes you like. You just need 2 flashes. You'll also notice that I've added MagMod CTOs. These are color temperature orange gels that are just going to change the color temperature of the light to give me a nice warmth, almost like sunlight coming through, okay? So we're going to place these flashes, and this is a little bit of the tricky part, okay? So we want these flashes directly behind our subjects, and I'm going to place them maybe, what would you think? Arbella, is that about 4 feet, 5 feet? Roughly around there?
Yeah.
And I'm going to angle this one sort of towards Will, and I'm going to angle this one towards Arbella. So we're kind of like crisscrossing, right? I'm going to power both these on, and we'll just start with like, let's say 6, that'd be like 1 30-second power, okay? I'm going to start it off low, put both of them on the same power setting. Both of them are on the same channel, and they're facing into our subjects. Step 5 is add your modifier if you wanted, and we did. We put on a CTO gel just to warm the light. This is again just stylistic. You can leave it cooler, you can change the color to whatever you want, make it red, make it green. I don't care, that's up to you. Okay, now before we move forward, let's just get everything dialed in. So I wanna get my power dialed in, I wanna get all those settings adjusted. Let's go to our remote. This is on, we have everything, we've already set our intention. I'm gonna make sure that the positions of those flashes are good, okay? So when I'm right here and I'm taking this shot, first thing I say is the positions are no bueno. Now you might be looking at that and going, that already looks kind of cool. Yeah, it does, except there's like glowing heavenly objects attached to their necks, which that's no bueno, right? We don't want that. So what I need to do is get both those lights just out a bit further. Okay, so let's see. All right, that looks great. I'm gonna step in a little bit. I'm gonna make sure that we're still good on this side. Fantastic. What I'm trying to do here is I wanna make sure that my light is good in terms of power output, and also that I can work in and out a little bit without catching the flashes in the shot. The only thing I might do now is I'm gonna adjust the power up. So 1/1 full power on this would be 10. So 9's half power, 8 is a quarter power, and we're at 7, which is 1/8 power. 1/8 power for this kind of a shot indoors. Imagine if we are outdoors and shooting this in bright conditions, you're gonna need a lot bigger flashes. So usually I'm doing something like this around that sunset to dusk time when I don't need tons of light power. Otherwise, you gotta kind of lug around big pieces of gear. Okay, stay right there, guys. Pull each other in tight, and I'm gonna get a little close, and let's get a little test. Okay, you've got the lights in the right position, you've tested it, you already got those basic, beautiful light wrapping kind of silhouette shots. Now it's time to add the ring of fire. I didn't actually mention, I set my camera settings. You saw the settings already, but I didn't mention them. We're at 1/200th f2 and ISO 200. And one of the reasons that I want you guys to be on a prime lens or on a zoom that acts like a prime is because we want to shoot this wide open. The reason is not only for the actual flare and depth effect we're creating, but it's also because my fingers are holding the bronze tube, right? So if I bring this right in front of the lens, when I'm shooting at a very shallow depth of field at f2 or f1.4, then my fingers are basically blurred out of the sides of the shot. So as you look at it, you don't even see fingers at all. You just see the actual shot. Okay, so now you see this crazy ring of light thing light up from that very first shot, and you're like, what the heck is going on? What's happening actually is the light is hitting them, and some of it is coming through and actually landing inside of the bronze tube, and then that's going into the camera. I'm going to demonstrate this by turning on the modeling lights. In fact, if you have modeling lights on your flashes, this is also a great way just to guide the light that's going into the bronze tube. What we're going to do is, Via, you're going to come up and let's go ahead and show them right there in camera. Okay, so as you come close, you start to see the light being reflected. And as that light goes around, you can see the placement. Now what Via needs to do is come a bit closer. So as he comes closer and we bring this ring in, you can see exactly what's happening. So as I rotate the ring, and we're just going to do this as we actually take the shot, is you're going to rotate the ring to catch different bits of light and bring it into the camera. Now you're only seeing a little bit of this because that's natural light, right? This is what I love about using a flash with this technique. So thank you, Sam Hurd, for, I think he actually came up with the technique too. So thank you for coming up with it and popularizing it. I love doing it with flash. It looks fantastic. Let's get our final shot. All right, guys, touch foreheads. With this all in, I'm gonna come close. We're gonna frame out any junk. So here I'm catching too much flare, right? I need to make a little adjustment. This is the cool part about this technique, is that every shot gives you a little bit of a different result. Okay, so I'm gonna actually extend the ring off to the side this time. That one's pretty cool. I'm gonna go now into the center. Really fun, simple technique, easy to do. You get great results and you can completely transform a scene, turn it into something that looks nothing like what it actually is. I hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you guys think. Go give Sam Hurd a shout out. And if you guys enjoy this style of education and want to learn more about the special effects course, jump on SLR Lounge. We'll link that up as well. All right, see y'all.